So, Skirmish season is coming to an end, and I wanted to talk about my Ice Lexi list that I was able to pilot to a top 4 finish in a skirmish I went to. This is the deck that I used to get a shiny new cold foil Lexi, so let's talk about it. Ice Lexi is all about staying on the aggressive, but not only are we attacking our opponent's health, we're also attacking their resources as well. We do this mainly with Frostbite tokens, which make our opponent's actions cost one more resource. With Lexi's ability, we can reveal ice cards from Arsenal to give our opponent these Frostbite tokens. Outside of Lexi's ability, many of our arrows have on-hit effects that affect our opponent's resources as well. We are running all 6 copies of Blizzard Bolt and the red and yellow versions of Chilling Ice Vein, which when fused can attack the opponent's resources by giving them a Frostbite or forcing them to pay a resource or discard whenever you deal damage this turn. And I do mean whenever. Our bow of choice is Voltaire Strikes Twice, meaning we can give our arrows go again, and every attack we play after that will also have the Frostbite or discard effect as well. Outside of these, we also run Frostlock, which has a lot of powerful effects on it. Don't discount the arrow just because it's blue. Not only does it make your opponent's effects cost more, making it harder to defend, but when fused, it gets a slight power boost and also stops your opponent from pitching or playing 0-cost cards on hit. This can be a crippling effect against certain decks like Ira and Briar, but also affects some of the top tier decks like Viscera and Kasai as well. Finally, we run a copy of Flakeout, an arrow that gains Dominate on fuse. It's a good way to close out games and get in some unblockable damage if needed. And outside of our arrows, we run a lot of ice cards to fuse with, many of whom also have powerful effects that attack our opponent's resources. We run Blue Winter's Bite, which forces a discard unless our opponent pays a resource. We also run 2 blue and 1 yellow Polar Blast, which gives our next attack Dominate unless our opponent pays some resources. It also lets us draw a card if played from Arsenal as well. We also run Channel Lake Frigid, which can make all of our opponent's effects cost 1 more. This effect can be devastating against other go-wide decks, and if you pitch properly, you can have the effect stick around for multiple turns. We also run Red Icequake, which gives our next attack a buff, along with giving attacks this turn the ability to create Frostbites on hit. We run the red and blue versions of Weave Ice, which can give our attacks a buff and Dominate when fused, making it easier to get those powerful on-hit effects active. And naturally, we are also running the legendary Pulse of Volthaven, a massive +4 buff to our attacks that gains both Go Again and Frostbite when revealed from Arsenal with Lexi's ability. Finally, for ice cards, we also run a couple of attacks as well. The red versions of Icy Encounter and Frostfang both have powerful on-hit effects and can further tax our opponent's resources if not fully blocked. So that's about it for elemental and ice cards. All our attacks discussed so far cost 2 resources, since the 1-cost arrows need an extra resource to load with the bow. Because of that, the rest of our attacks we run in the deck cost 1 resource. To round out the deck, we run Endless Arrow and the red and blue versions of Bolt and Shot. These all cost 0, but with Voltaire, as I said, technically cost 1. The power of these cards is that you can pitch a single blue to play one of the elemental arrows along with one of these arrows as well, or play one of these arrows with Go Again, then play one of our ice attacks alongside it. And all these arrows have quite powerful effects as well. Endless Arrow comes back to hand if it hits, and Bolt and Shot gains Go Again if it has a greater attack than its base, meaning you can always use the +1 attack mode on Voltaire, it will still have Go Again. It also reloads on hit, potentially threatening some more arrow attacks even if you're all out of Voltaire triggers. And of course, you cannot run a Voltaire deck without running 2 copies of the All-Star 3 of a kind. 1 resource to draw 3 is outstanding, and since you can use Voltaire to load 2 arrows per turn, often enough you can go quite wide with your attacks. Your 3 of a kind turns can end up being your most powerful turns of all if you draw well. So that's the main board. For equipment, we are of course running the New Horizon to give us that extra arsenal slot. This is incredibly important and allows us to leave attacks in our arsenal that we can use after using our Go Again arrows in our other arsenal slot. Nothing beats a 6-card hand. We run the Tunic for the chest to give us an extra resource every once in a while, and for the arms, we run the Shock Charmers, a good way to pump extra resources you have to get extra damage in. Both Blizzard Bolt and Chilling Ice Vein's effect occurs when you deal damage, meaning Shock Charmer pings will actually get the effects to trigger an additional time. A powerful piece of equipment to be sure. Finally, for the legs, we've got the Perch Grapplers. It could give your arrows go again, but really it's just there for the 2 block. For our sideboard, we've got the Heart of Ice, Bullseye Bracer, and Null Rune Boots against Wizard, though I also like bringing the Null Rune Boots against Runeblade and the Heart of Ice against Oldhim. I also like running the Ironhide Plate and Gauntlet to play against Benji. Since we have no mainboard defense reactions, the defense on these cards can be important, and since we have one final equipment slot, I also added the Gambler's Gloves, just in case someone was being cheeky and bringing in KO. And that's what I brought to my local Skirmish. It's a powerful and hyper-aggressive deck, though do be warned that the deck does not block well at all. If you're going to try it, definitely keep up the pressure with those Frostbites to stop your opponent's offense, and the deck will perform well. Let me know what you guys think about the deck, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.